To meet you all. So, yes, to introduce myself, Dr. Lizzie Burns. I'm originally a scientist and I work actually as an artist. I call myself a science based artist. I combine the two. I use it really to communicate science. Here's one of my paintings in the background, which shows red and white blood cells, so things inside our body, and how in this case how our white blood cells are fighting disease. So that's rather appropriate, isn't it, for these days? But I actually work one day a week in a hospital in London, and I work within an oncology ward. And I encourage adults to get creative as a way of encouraging them to get focused on something else. And first, I started with painting and drawing, and most people feel that they're not creative. Actually, I do think everyone is. It's giving yourself a chance, but actually, it was a patient who asked me to learn something from her. And she asked me to learn something to pass it on. I genuinely didn't know what she was going to teach me, but this is what she taught. So she asked me to learn to make this beautiful bunch of lilies. And as a child, she'd been unwell, and then again as an adult, and she found in hospital very fun to make bunches of flowers to thank patients, to thank, sorry, nurses and doctors who've helped her and family. And so she would pass on this joy, and it would be something that would help focus the mind while I'm well in hospital. So it's not something I've done before, and I found that it really does help calm and focus the mind. So I'm absolutely delighted to be sharing with you some origami. And this actually is part of a project that we've been doing over the past year since the pandemic. Felt we either kind of give up on what we're doing, or no, we just find a way to adapt. And oh yes, we're going to do a poll in a second actually. So sorry for that. I'm going to throw up a poll here. I'm going to help Louise here. So hopefully, can you see something that's come up? A first poll in progress. How did you hear about this session? Excellent. So Louise, you've got a nice record of that? Yep, numbers going up. Brilliant. 3 of 6 voted. So there's a few more people to vote. Great. One more person. I don't know whether you're brilliant. Oh, thank you. That's everybody then. Have you got a record of that, Louise? Great. Fabulous. Right. Excellent. Oh, share results. I don't know. There we go. Then you can see. Lovely. Thanks ever so much for that. I will now, I think, stop that. Brilliant. So so part of a community fund from the lottery applied for a project called Made with Glove. I sort of saw the love in PPE. The things that distance us are actually showing that we care as well. So during this time, we have made 25, my origami colleague, 25,000 origami inspiration leaflets that have gone to hospitals for patients and for nurses, doctors, to encourage self-care through origami. And so actually the project includes also encouraging people to join with workshops. So I'm really, really delighted to share a session. So in a moment, we're going to get folding. And I thought also some nice kind of informal conversation with Anne as well about how origami can help with pain and help to focus the mind, and a sort of positive tool for you. I really, really hope it can help. But maybe actually, shall we start by actually doing a fold, and then we can see what happens. So with origami, I recommend any paper at all. You do not need special paper for origami. So I've just got bog standard A4 paper. So at the moment, I've muted us all, just to kind of keep it kind of quiet and less distracting for sound. So I'm going to take a piece of paper, and I reckon we can make 2 squares from this. So take your piece of paper and just fold it in half. So my 3 rules for origami, the first one is be really exact. Take your time to do that. So really lining up corners, it's very satisfying. And if you start well, it will continue well. If you start badly, it does get worse. So I really recommend that. But it's about taking time. And when you take time, you're slowing yourself down. My second rule is to give good, strong folds. And I'm doing that because everything will work a lot better. It will give it strength, but you're also letting out a bit of stress and tension. So hopefully that will help to relax as well. My third rule, not to forget, origami is meant to be fun. So always try and remember that as well. Be playful, be kind to yourself. It's about giving yourself, don't judge yourself, just take time, you will get there. So since I've done that strong line, you should be able to do a little nick. And then if you put your hand close to that edge, you should be able to tear it like that. I don't know, did you want it so that I'm spotlit? Would you like to be able to see, see me bigger, or are you okay as it is? If you'd like it spotlight, then that's something.
I've already made you bigger so it's speaker view.
Yeah, I think I can do spotlight for everyone. Is that helpful?
Yeah.
Is that helpful? Then you can see it just a bit bigger. Yeah. So just for this first fold. So hopefully you got half a piece of paper. Next, we're going to make a square. A lot of origami, you start with squares. You can use other shapes, actually. You can make hexagons or triangles, but we're going to use a square. So just take a corner and then just line it up along that edge. Take your time and right the way through that corner. Good strong fold. That's it. So it should look like that. Underneath here is a square. And in just a moment, we'll remove a rectangle. Then we're with it to get started with the square. So I'm going to just turn it over and bring back this rectangle so it lines up, and squash it down. Should all line up. Yeah, I mean, maybe for a lot of you, the last time you did something like this was as a child with a fortune teller or a paper aeroplane. Hopefully it's got some good happy memories with it. A little tiny neck, but it's very suitable as an adult. There are so many things you could make, and a lot of YouTube videos. And actually over this time, since previous March, I have been recording a fold every week, and I do live folds every Wednesday at 2 for Wellbeing. It's part of my work actually at UCH, but it's for everyone to help support in this time. So if you find that you enjoy this, do come and join us. It would be lovely, that support, but also it's making time for your self-care. So I try and go fairly slowly. Are you all happy? Have you all made a square with a diagonal? Great, excellent. But you are welcome to shout if not. Right, we're going to do just a midway point. So we're going to fold the other diagonal, but I just want you to pinch in the middle. So we're just making a little mark. And then maybe after this fold, we can also have a bit of a chat with Anne if she's willing. Ask about how kind of crafts and origami is helping, because this is about thinking about how it can help for you. That's right. That's right.
One thing I was going to say is that some people have arthritis in their hands, and putting that pressure down is quite difficult. Because I sew, I've actually got a little gadget that I can use, but you can get those little paper folding things, or in fact sort of like
or a knife or a spoon.
Yes,
handle for anything.
that helps, doesn't it? If you can't put the pressure with your fingers,
that's
if you've got pain in your hands and whatever.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And you may find that you can hold it in a different position, you know, maybe not on the surface, but in your hands. So I guess, finding what's comfortable for you. Yeah, that's a very good idea. So are you happy if you made that little halfway point? Great. So we're going to, I'm keeping this fold a surprise. I like a little bit of surprise. We're going to take the top and we're going to aim to the middle. So I have been learning in this time also to fold into a camera, which is another new skill. There we go. So it should look like this. So it's that top corner brought to the middle. Lovely. Happy? And then I'm going to take the bottom corner and we're going to bring it all the way up to the top and keeping it lined up like so. There we go. So Anne, how did you come across origami?
Well, I have to say that I did actually see you on YouTube,
Ah, brilliant.
but that was, believe it or not, I was looking for, because I make masks,
Ah, wow.
and some of the masks are using origami because they're folded.
Yes.
And so what happened was that I was, it said origami mask, and I thought, oh, so when you press on a YouTube origami
I know, it'll
mask,
suggest more things.
and then wow, there was a big explosion of bits of origami, and then I saw what you were doing, and I just thought, crumbs, we've all done a bit of origami because we do those fortune folding things.
That's right.
Don't you? Sort of, does somebody love you or not love you, or do the number? And also, I used to have a job in ages ago, sort of like back in the 18th century, I think it was, in a hotel, and we used to do lilies for the
napkin folding. You were saying,
and I'd never actually put the two together. The napkin is actually origami. The napkin folding is origami, and we used to do the swans as the centre bit, and sort of Christmas and Easter and whatever, you'd use the back to put things in. But I'd never actually put the two together. So it was through the pandemic, literally, because of making masks, that I then found you on YouTube.
Oh, brilliant. Well, it's good for access. So we're going to take this bottom, so if we have it all the same way around with this wider bit at the bottom, we're going to take this bottom line and we're going to fold it up along that vertical line. Yeah, and the good thing is, well, I've been recording a film every week, often quite seasonal, but there's effectively a good library, so you can look through and see if there's anything there that you fancy making. And as I said, I'm doing a live fold still at the moment as well, so it's rather lovely live. It's this, it's the feeling that you are connecting with others, which I think is what's so lovely about origami. This bottom line, again, taking it up and matching up to that vertical line, and now you're probably guessing what it is we're making. It's one of my favorite folds to start with. It looks a little bit of a pixelated heart, so maybe we could also soften our hearts as well. So the very top point, you could then fold back just to soften it a little bit. There we go.
Do you know, Lizzie, there's a project, and in fact, Patrick Grant has been, from the Sewing Bee, has been, sort of advocating it. I think it might be in Birmingham, where they're going to do a remembrance textile thing for people who have died from COVID.
From COVID, wow.
And I was thinking, I was just thinking that would that would put the two together, wouldn't it? I want to put my cousin's name on it. And then I want to do 3 because we've lost 3 members of our family. And that would be beautiful because that ties in what you've done, which is pandemic led, into something very meaningful. Absolutely. I love that.
Yeah. Actually, within sort of Japan, Korea as well, they you might have heard about the 1,000 cranes. The idea of make 1,000 cranes. Cranes aren't actually that easy to make, but 1,000 cranes, string them up. They're often left outside temples, sometimes given to people, but it's usually to wish someone better. Actually, it often is about somebody being unwell and you're wishing them better. So there's something very kind of healing. You've shown thought and care. So therapeutic. It's lovely to see your heart. You can fold in the sides as well, so if they're sticky out, that looks brilliant. Oh, Laura, Victoria, Matthew, oh, Dana, lovely. I saw a pink heart as well earlier from Louise. They look brilliant, yeah. And you could decorate. This is quite nice for a card as well. I will. That's a good idea, Laura. Yes. So my YouTube channel. Actually, if you just look up my name, Dr. Lizzie Burns, but I'll try and remember to put it in the YouTube. But that's actually the address. So it's kind of yeah. Just look up my name, you'll find it. So
yes, if you go onto YouTube and just write your name in, it comes up.
You'll find me. Yeah. Thank you. So I thought we could get a little bit ambitious, and I think something which is so beautiful. It's another traditional piece, so it will have been handed on from one to another, which I think is really beautiful. It means that people have spent time together and they passed it on. So this beautiful tulip with a stem and leaf, and it stands up by itself, and there's no glue. It is unbelievable what's possible with paper. And this flower I made maybe a couple of years ago, and it's still looking so fresh and beautiful. So I hope that we can give it a go. Actually, one thing to say for this one, it will involve blowing into the paper at one point. So if you want to, if you're not 100% sure that your hands are clean, feel free to go and wash your hands and then dry them. Obviously, you don't want your hands. Oh wow, Matthew, that looks amazing! Wow, a man who does that is brilliant. Tyrannosaurus Rex. Wow. Clearly a man who does fantastic origami. Wow. Matthew, so have you always done this? Are you able to say? Are you willing to say?
Yes, I've done it since I can remember. I've always done it throughout my childhood. It was always my icebreaker at school. It was always.
You'll always have friends if you make origami, and it's a very generous art form, isn't it? Because you start giving things to people. You make more than one, you might as well give it to people. People are so chuffed.
I always remember the list. The girls usually wanted the peace crane. And then I
boys want ninja stars or something.
Well, that is a star.
Oh,
that's a different type of. It's not. I know the ninja star. We used to make big, massive ones from the the massive paper out of the rolls.
Gosh,
like this massive.
Really?
So you'd throw them.
Sorry. Is there any way we can see?
Oh,
he's showing you.
Oh,
yes. Are you able to see? And if you go on to speak of you, then maybe you can see Matthew.
Oh, well, I'll probably need to speak to force it.
That's brilliant.
Tyrannosaurus Rex, but it's
the
lighting's a bit.
Oh, it's brilliant.
That's awesome, Matthew.
Is this been from books or
from books and YouTube and just online and anything I could get my hands on, but. I haven't done it for a while, but I've got so many. I've got a box, many boxes full of.
I can't see him. Can anybody else see him? Can everybody else see him?
Maybe if I can, I can add spotlight for a moment. There we go.
Oh,
hello.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah,
oh, look.
A butterfly.
We saw.
This was the T-Rex I was showing earlier.
So cool. Look at
that.
Look at that. Very good fold.
One of my favorite ones. It was a more complex one, but it was this here, all out of one piece of paper, and it's
amazing.
That's a little dinosaurs. I always liked dinosaurs. But.
Do you find that it helps? Does it distract if you're?
Yeah, it's always been. I wanted to get back into it, so that's why. Thank you for bringing it up again. So I think I might try and continue with it.
Yeah. Do you know about the British Origami Society as well?
No, I don't know any information about any of the things.
Oh, so yeah, I'm a proud member. It was only actually because of someone who got in touch with me and said, do you know about the British Origami Society? I just didn't know about it at all. It was actually set up by a magician, Robin Hart. Robert Harbin, who apparently did origami on TV. Some of you, maybe who are older, will remember him. I've often heard of people saying about him. Yeah, he was a magician and he got into origami, and he was the first president for the society. So I think it's from the 60s it's been running, and they do their own kind of magazine and convention. It's a lovely group of people who are designers themselves, and obviously people who enjoy folding. They're quite amazing conventions in person, but there's stuff online as well. So it might be worth having a look at, considering even just for buying origami paper, their shops, because they're enthusiasts and they actually care about it rather than selling you the cheapest things. So thanks for that. Right, let's get on. And Lily, so that's the same Lily, isn't it? So in my case, actually, I've curved these more, but it's the same Lily, traditional Lily. Yay!
That must be about 7 years old.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, flowers that last, aren't they? So
yes.
Have you made the tulip before?
There's a few different ones, but I'm not sure. I can't.
Well, let's make
a while
together. So if you grab your other piece of paper, because I think from our A4,
Lizzie, I was going to say to you, so that everybody knows, I'm going to use some paper that was actually wrapped around some flowers that I saved for today, because I thought that if I make it, then I can keep it. And this is a keepsake from my children.
Oh, that's lovely. It's a really good idea. So you might want to think about, I mean, for Anne, that looks as though it would be better maybe for the stem and for the leaves, for the green, and you might want a different colour for the flower.
Yeah,
that's fine if you've just got white. That's what I'm going to do. But if you do have different colours, you might think about a colourful head and different colour for the stem and leaves. So we're going to make a smaller square for the flower and then a bigger one for the stem and for the leaves. So for the smaller head, I'm going to use the other half of my A4 piece of paper. So if you've still got half a piece of A4 paper, we will start with this. And we will be blowing into this at one point. So if your hands aren't completely clean, I would have thought they are at home, but
if you want... we need now, Lizzie.
Sorry, Louise?
Sorry, is this the colourful bit we want first?
Yes, for the flower. We're going to make the flower smaller piece of paper than the stem. So this is a half A4 in my case, and I'm going to make a square from it. So I'm going to take the corner and I'm going to fold it over. That's it. There we go. And actually, I've been taking part in origami folds, which are across the world. I've been folding with people in Iran, in Nigeria, in America, Australia, all at the same time. We're in different time zones, India, amazing. So Matthew, there's some really great events going on online. Yeah, you might really enjoy that. We're going to remove that rectangle, and for all of you as well. So also, if you want to see other events that are happening, I tend to share most on Twitter. So you don't have to be a member of Twitter to see it. But if you just, again, look up my name, Dr. Lizzie Burns, you'll see I regularly share lots of pictures, but I'll also would be tweeting any events that are coming up. Or look on the British Origami Society site as well. Lovely. So we've got hopefully a square with a diagonal. And in a moment, we're going to do the other diagonal all the way along. So as you've got it, again, you're always very welcome to say, Lizzie, can you pause or can you show that again? So we've done one diagonal, let's do the other diagonal. So hopefully you've got both your diagonals. Happy? Great. So then we're going to turn it over. That's actually really crucial because it's about directions of lines. So I'm sure Matthew will know there's different bases. I never remember the names of these things. So no, you don't either. I'm glad it's not just me. So we're going to do next a horizontal and a vertical line, but it is crucial that you turned it over. At least it will be easier that way. So I'm going to do a horizontal and a vertical. And it's the repetition also, I think, that's gets rather enjoyable about this. So if you really want to learn a piece, you can do it just by really repeating something over again. Your brain will eventually get it. That's another aspect of origami. If you were really keen, you can learn.
Do you think it's part of that, as you say, that repetition that acts on the brain to distract you from your pain or whatever, that sort of thing that's causing you the distress?
Yeah, I agree. It's the complete focus. And actually, as you do something and you find it easier, I think it's also teaches you lessons about persistence and about you will get there given time. It's how we learn things. It takes time, doesn't it? So to be patient with yourself. Yeah, but I hope when
it's
you're
kind, isn't it, as well? You know, it's not putting yourself under too much pressure. You know, with this, you can do a couple of folds and then, as you say, repeat it until you've got it.
Yeah.
And then go off and make a cup of tea and come back and finish it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it is. I think most of it's about being kind to ourselves. So often, and to be honest, I was the same. I felt I couldn't do origami. Well, it's just I hadn't really given myself the time or the opportunity. You know, we easily get frustrated because something's new, but actually if we give ourselves lots of time and patience, we'll get there, and then you'll feel such a sense of achievement. So I think it's about a good positive attitude to yourself as well. So probably as you've got it now, it would form a square. We actually want it to become a triangle. So as you've got it, if you pop your finger underneath the middle of the square and it pops and it forms a sort of triangle shape, and then you can push in the sides and it will fold up. Is that working for you? If it's not, do shout and I'll try and... Excellent.
Would you be able to repeat that for me?
Yes, of course, of course. So are you finding it's a little bit like this? It looks this sort of shape.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you put your finger underneath the middle of this, so at the moment it's kind of upwards, put your finger underneath and push and it pops.
Oh, right, yeah.
And it just suddenly goes into the opposite shape.
Yeah.
And then fold in the sides, just push in the sides. You will then be able to flatten it and it will form a triangle.
Oh, lovely. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for saying you will not be alone. How are you doing?
I'm not doing very well. Show me again.
Do you want some help?
Yes.
Show me your piece of paper. I might be able to help. So you did the diagonals on one side and then you did the horizontal. Oh, are you missing a vertical line by the look of it?
There's one there.
Oh, there's one there. So you did the diagonals on one side, turned it over.
Oh, right. That's what I did wrong.
Yes.
Diagonals on one side. Right. Turn it over and do this.
Yeah, because I've already about the folding. I'm sure Matthew knows about this.
Well, I had to reverse it because my color's on one side, so that might be the same as Anne.
Yes.
Because it depends. I didn't know which side to start folding from to get the color on the outside of the flower.
Yeah.
It would be a bit sad if you folded it all just to turn out white.
Agree. I'm terrible at thinking out which side it's going to be.
No, it's easy to swap it over if you just fold them back, the creases back the other way, and it'll do the same.
That looks good, Anne. Yes, excellent. So tucked in on both sides like that. Brilliant. Yay. We've
done it.
Yay. That's the basis for it. Right. So we're going to take one of these little corners and fold it up to the top like so. And again, just take your time. Try and be exact. It will help. it will all work well if you can. The great thing is with paper, you can kind of reposition. And saying with Anne, really any paper will do. So even like junk mail, I mean, stuff that's literally you'd otherwise put in the bin, you can turn it to origami, and it's lovely to see how it changes. Or we were saying about how you could do some colour. If you do colouring in, you could then fold up and make really unique pieces. So you could have done some colouring and then see how it transforms. And again, this corner, you could lift up again to the top. So you've made a little square there. I've more recently been inventing my own pieces, actually. I've only recently got going. For example, like this. The kind of help. Yay!
Yay! That's beautiful. I actually like that. I think that's beautiful. And that would look really nice on a special card, wouldn't it?
Oh, really special. Yeah. Yeah.
I was thinking, you know, the heart actually would look lovely on a card if you did it in nice colours, and because it's slightly opened, you could almost write a little message in it. Look at that.
So this actually is a classic, a brilliant thing called a Sonobe module, probably invented in the 50s. It's not quite clear who invented, but maybe Sonobe, Mr. Sonobe or Mrs. Sonobe. And it's a really stable structure, but actually lots of people, including myself, have just experimented slightly with the folds. So I've got some nicer patterns. It would have been quite plain otherwise. So I've actually been taking, bizarrely, inspiration from viruses. They mutate, they change their folds, and that's what, obviously that causes trouble, but at the same time, actually that's what evolution is, generating new folds, seeing what works. So I'm taking something like this, which is an existing fold, and then just trying out different things. It's really fun and just seeing what works. So it's a strange.
How many bits of paper do you use for that?
Yeah. So actually, as I was saying, I recommend actually, the British Origami Society shop, because it's actually very reasonable, but it's good quality. And I love these. This is gorgeous box of Korean papers. I can show you actually. I think it was only £4 for 1,000 little beautiful.
Wow.
So I thoroughly recommend. I'll just show you. They'll be for making cranes, basically. In Korea, they tend to go for plainer paper. In Japan, it tends to be the lovely patterned. But actually, when you're making things like the module, it looks nice, I think, plain, actually. So it's a whole, look at that whole box of all these little lovely colours. It just makes me so happy to, neat.
So that one big piece was made from like lots of little, so you can choose whatever colours you wanted to make. Oh, that's lovely. I really like that.
Nice. There's 25 colours in there, 25 colours. And for this, there's 30 pieces if you make this shape.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah, I should demonstrate that as a fold. Actually, Sonobe it's very simple actually, but mind-bogglingly brilliant. Yeah, there are more complicated, bigger things you can make. This is probably the biggest thing I've made, which is called a Vachetta star, after the person who invented it. I can't remember how many pieces went into this.
Many.
Quite a few, but you have to understand the pattern. It's quite simple, actually. So, she says, so here, every side has 5, has a pattern of 5. Can you see? Every side has a pattern of 5. If you want to make it bigger, the only way to make it bigger is to add hexagons in between. So a football is like a pentagon with a hexagon in between each time. But it's still pentagons. This one, hard to get your head around, but no, that's a pentagon there, and there'll be 2 hexagons between. That's how I made it bigger, but it has to be equal on each side. It's been brilliant. I could not follow that as instructions from a book, but the principle I can get. I mean, it eventually takes me a while to work that out, but great fun. It was beautiful inside, like a beautiful little wonderland of colours, and these were just little scrap pieces of paper. And I was saying, on train journeys I would bring these little squares, little ice cream box, and I'd just sit there happily folding. Took me about a week actually, that one, but a nice week. Sorry, we distract, but you can see how exciting how it's almost like a rabbit warren. I feel like I fall through this hole and I'm just like, oh, there's something else I want to test out or make, but it's just ordinary everyday paper, so it costs actually nothing, which is really nice, isn't it? And yet you've made it into something special. So if you turn your piece of paper to the back now, oh, thank you. That bottom corner, same thing again, bring up to the top. So yeah, so you could do 3-dimensional, that's modular, what's called modular origami, little pieces that come together. Actually, the principle's simple. It's just pockets and tucks and something that goes into it. So if you sort of see it as glorified Lego, really, yeah, more interesting, I think, much more interesting. Bottom corner and then up to the top. Although, of course, Lego's fun, but I love that you're forming it yourself. There's
a lot cheaper than Lego.
Not cheap. That's really true, isn't it?
It's
maybe that's why
extraordinary how the price is just.
Yes.
Like a single set is like 300 quid for like a decent size, and it's like
what?
Your kid is begging, please, please, £300 set.
And even the second hand, Matthew, is really.
Yeah.
If you want to go for like the adult ones for like Star Wars collectors or something, they're like 800 quid for a set.
I don't see the point. Whereas with this, the sense of achievement is so great. Just through paper. Yeah, I guess there's more of an industry behind that one, isn't there? This is almost so accessible that, yeah, who's going to be promoting this? We can. Yes, let's fight commercialism and make things ourselves. So hopefully you've got it. Looks like a square. We've got these loose flaps. I want you to consider this almost leaves of a book. So turn a page and it's smooth. And then turn to the back and it's the same thing. Loose side, turn the page, and so hopefully smooth front and back now.
Yeah.
That good?
Yeah.
Right. Lovely. So if you look down, I just want to make sure we've all got it the same way up. So can you see the top? We've got these little pockets. So we have that facing at the top.
Yeah.
We're going to use those pockets, which is a bit like the modular, actually. It's construction, really. It really is, yeah, engineering. And I think because it's about not necessarily what you want to do, but what works, I find that really interesting. It's about understanding materials and forces. You will keep your brain thoroughly engaged. So we're going to take the top edge and we're going to fold it a little bit over the midway line. Can you see there's the midway line? I am going a bit over the edge.
On the smooth side. We're folding onto the smooth side.
That's correct. So this is the smooth side, and I'm taking this top edge, which has got the
pocket,
over, definitely over the middle line. Not hugely over, but definitely over, because one thing's got to tuck into another. So if I lined up, it wouldn't work. That's it.
Yeah.
And then open it up, do the same thing on the other side. So take that edge and fold it from the top, a bit over the midway line. So they will overlap, basically. So, all happy? Looks like you're all nice and busy. Good, isn't it? So busy just from paper. So our next step, we're going to tuck one into the other. So we're going to take one of these little flaps and we're going to tuck it into the pocket of the other. So you're going to have to almost curve it round, push it in, and then push it all the way. So it folds inwards. And it should sort of hold it, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Oh, I can't believe this.
Yes. Fingers crossed. We're getting there, and yeah, well, it wouldn't be working if it wasn't working, so that's all good.
I'm lost.
Are you lost? Oh, Victoria, how are you? Thank you for saying.
I got to here.
Let's have a look. Yeah.
Yes.
So have you got the pockets at the top? I've got little pockets. Make
Okay.
sure it's that way up.
Yes. Okay.
Great. And then we take one side and we fold it a bit over the midway line.
Okay.
And the same with the other. So they will overlap over each other. It's always the frustration. You kind of want to put your hand through the screen and just show you, but I can't.
Thank you.
That's it. That's it, Louise. That looks good. Right. Hopefully you'll find there's a pocket in one. Well, a pocket in both. And just curve one round and try to tuck it in. I definitely have to see what I'm doing for this. Cannot do this one into the camera. So pushing it in like so. So one should tuck into the other. Has that worked for you, Victoria?
Well, I'm trying to.
You can also, this is obviously being recorded, so see it as a work in progress. It will take time and persistence, and just being, you will get it eventually. Is it coming together? Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Better still. Lovely. Excellent, Diana. That looks good. Right. Turn it to the back, and it's the same thing. Taking this top side and again folding it a bit over that midway line. That's it. Yeah, and we all have different things that we're into. So Matthew was showing us how he loves dinosaurs. So there'll be loads of dinosaur folds out there, or you might be into flowers, or you might just like abstract things. I tend to like abstract things. There's kind of, it's like any form of art. It depends what you're really into, and you'll find there's loads of YouTube videos. So I personally recommend YouTube rather than books. I find books hard, so I tend to end up feeling like I can't do it, which isn't good. Whereas YouTube, you can change the speed, you can pause it, you can go back to it, and sort of shows you more how it looks really. Again, the other side, folding it a bit over the midway line. And yeah, we're saying it's also really good for presents too, for cards. It's flat and light often. Well, it depends what you're making, but often you can make things that are flat and post them to somebody, to a friend, family, show you care. You can make flowers for people. They'll be so chuffed. And obviously, well, it doesn't cost anything but your time, really. But that's actually the most precious thing, isn't it?
Well,
So
I was thinking my daughter's getting married well, she's married now, but well, she had to get married because her dad's ill, if you see what I mean. But her real wedding was booked for October. But I was thinking I could do some at the table centres, couldn't I?
That's a great idea.
Then people could take them away if they wanted as a memory.
Oh, that's a lovely idea.
I could write their names on, couldn't I?
Yeah, it's really nice if you kind of give yourself, I'm going to make however number of things. It's kind of gives you a sense of purpose to do a little project. At the moment, I'm making pieces to give to my colleagues in the hospital, so mostly nurses. It's so nice making little packs with some origami and some papers and encouraging them to fold.
So, Lizzie,
yes.
Does it matter which pocket you fold it into?
I don't think so. Not that I know of.
Okay.
I've not really thought about it, but I don't think it matters. So hopefully the main thing is just that it's sort of closed up really. So at the moment you have got a flat pack flower. We're going to do just one more line. So we're just going to fold that triangle up. It's very thick by this point, but just some kind of line will help, and then down again. It will just help a bit later on. But that's it. You have made your flat pack flower, but we need it to become 3D. At the moment it's flat. So at the bottom, can you see there's a little hole? Just about see there's a little hole in there. So it's worth a go. Dry lips. You should hopefully be able to blow into the hole, but keep those lips dry. And it's blown it up. You should get lipstick all on it as well. You can also sort of push it down with your fingers and sort of pull it out the sides. I'm afraid, again, this is something where I wish I could show you in person, but certainly wouldn't be suitable blowing and touching. So this is definitely one for remote. But it basically opens it up to form a little pyramid. And you may be able to, Diane, it looks like maybe you can then press in the bottom. You can also do that with your fingers too. So the blowing may have helped start it, and then you may push it down to flatten it.
Ooh.
So again, you know, it may be something that you work on. Oh, Matthew.
Moisture-free blowing device.
Oh, did you use that?
Yeah, I actually did.
Wow.
No spit on the paper this time.
The rocket.
Yeah, it's a great. It's not just for origami, but for
Yeah,
anything, cleaning like a keyboard or anything.
Ah, wow.
Like jets of air.
Your own personal hygienic blower.
Yes.
Wow. Oh, that's brilliant. We're learning lots from Matthew. I like this. I hope it's come together. Has it worked? I know it's a little bit of a... Diana, I reckon you can gently push up the bottom. Pull out the sides, push it up. It's there. Yeah. I know it's a little bit of a tricky step. It'll be fine. Yeah, so Louise is looking tricky as well. So yeah, blowing, but it needs to be dry lips, but you can also push in at the bottom. Again, it may be something that you'll work on as well. It will eventually get there. It's all learning. Oh yeah, that looks closer, Diana, and that will still work. Again, it's always a process, origami. Do not be harsh on yourself. Be kind on yourself. You're learning. It's part of the fun. It's also part of the achievement as well. Yeah, so it's not Victoria, it's proving problematic as well. Oh, I wish I could be there to help. Oh, it looks as if are they tucked into each other, the sides? Because
they keep coming
out. So the point was you need to overlap over that midway line, otherwise they can't tuck into each other. So it's deliberate how I showed folding over. I'm afraid sometimes we learn the hard way as to why something's not working. Then you go, that's why you need to do it that way. Oh, Diana, that worked. Brilliant. So I reckon, Victoria, it looks as if maybe you've folded to the midway line rather than over the line. But that's fine. It's learning, and actually each little step gives you another key as to that's how that works. It's engineering, really.
You have to blow it quite hard. Lots of little blows, but quite sharp because you're trying to blow it up.
Yeah.
But it is quite, every time, all those little folds it was like that one where you turned it over and just pop it.
Yeah.
But it always blew people's mind. It was like you have a square and then suddenly it's a
one or the other.
All right, now you do it. No. But it is quite a concept. Fold a triangle, then blow into it, and it's a pyramid.
Yeah, exactly.
If it's your first time.
Quite challenging, isn't it? But that's also, when you eventually get it, it's like, wow, that's so cool. So it is real learning. So really be kind on yourself when you're doing that. But it's well worth persisting. You will get there, but it may take time, but that's fine. But it's encouraging you to take time out, really. I would have thought when you're kind of dealing with all these challenges, you're forgetting about everything else. That's a good thing, isn't it? So hopefully for most of you, but you will, maybe we could also put in the YouTube video. Oh, brilliant. Yeah, Louise's house, you're getting there. That you can always go back to the video and know that you are almost there, so it will eventually work. So I'm just going to show you now, because you can go back hopefully to this video. You have actually got little petals there, and you can just gently kind of roll back. So you have to go just carefully and gently, because obviously you don't want to tear anything, and only about halfway down, I think, like that. Yeah, otherwise if you go all the way down it will unravel. So again, we sometimes learn the hard way. It is, it's an interesting one. Whereas things like drawing, you can draw absolutely anything. There's no constraint, whereas there is a lot of constraint with origami. But I think that's also rather interesting. It's about understanding the materials. I mean, that just comes with time, really. But hopefully it's what makes it interesting. Again, hopefully uncurling those, and yeah, you will get there. We have gone from something quite simple to something quite complicated. Excellent. Wow, Louise's house, that looks brilliant. Oh, wow, Diana, you're ahead of us. That looks great. Yeah, and don't worry if it's not coming together yet. You will get there. You will get there. You're almost there. So with persistence, yeah, I reckon the key, Victoria, is the overlappings that they can tuck in. Otherwise, they can't. Most things you line up against a line, but in this case, it was a deliberate overlap, which is quite clever. But so I'll just show you how to make. So since we're getting quite close to the end, and actually we did start about 5 minutes late, so it's fine, I think. And that's when you started recording. So we can definitely make the stem, which is thankfully quite simple compared to that. So if you grab a whole piece of A4 paper, because actually it will look better if you've got, this has been one size of square. I used half an A4, and then I'm going to make a square from the whole A4. It's better if this was from smaller size paper than the next piece. Otherwise you've got quite a top heavy flower. So if you can, use a bigger piece of paper for your for making the stem. So I'm going to make a whole square from this rather than my usual half. So I'm going to take a corner. And again, you know, if you're not able to do it all within this time, you can come back to it. You'll get there. If you give yourself that time and space, you know, some things I started making, it's honestly, it's just taken me months to eventually get it. And it's fine. I've rather enjoyed that, knowing at some point I'll work it out. It's all right. It doesn't have to all be finished in a day.
Lizzie, is the tulip on your YouTube?
Yeah, actually, you'll have to go all the way back to the bottom. I think it was the first thing I demonstrated, or second thing, something like that, of my film. So it is there, right at the bottom. I think right.
And you know, the lilies that you showed at the beginning, are they on the YouTube?
Yes, they're there as well as the whole bunch. So it involves as well a little bit of glue and scissors, which for real hardcore origamists is less traditional. But actually in Japan, people very much do mix glue and cutting. So I think it's a little bit more of a Western thing, trying to stick to never using glue or scissors. But I'm less hardcore. I think the main thing is just enjoyment. But it is great trying to work within the constraint. It's a hard thing to do. Removing that rectangle, so I've got a bigger square. Yeah, I've heard from all sorts of people making the bunches of flowers. There was one person who wrote on the YouTube just a little comment of, thanks for this, I made a bunch of flowers for my daughter who's working on a COVID ward.
Oh,
so nice. Her mum making flowers for her daughter.
What could we make for a man working on the COVID ward?
Yes. Oh, well, some of these amazing structures are pretty cool, aren't they? If you're feeling really ambitious.
Yeah.
Or maybe some paper aeroplanes. I don't know.
I
or
think
some dinosaurs. Maybe Matthew's got suggestions.
Men can still have a bunch of flowers, I think.
Yeah, why not? They'd still be impressed, I reckon. Someone spent that time and effort, and how could you not be impressed?
These cranes are pretty universal.
Yeah. I think you'd be impressed, wouldn't you? Yeah. So we're going to take, so hopefully you've got a square with the diagonal. We're going to take one side and we're going to fold it just to straight. So this time no overlap to that midway line. Yeah. I've also more recently on COVID, I've actually been designed my own origami syringe. And I was so overjoyed as a NHS employee. I was given the chance invited for a vaccine. I've actually now had both, which is incredibly lucky. And I wanted to give a card to my vaccinator to say thank you. So I designed a little origami syringe. I'll be able to show that to you in a second. Anyway, the other side, so it meets one end. I've actually just got it. I then made one for myself, but it's quite nice as a card. And again, I've demonstrated that. So if you look on my YouTube, I'm just going to show you. this is what I made.
So I could make one. My grandson has been working on a COVID ward. He's only 22. He said the other day that if he thought about it too much, he'd have a nervous breakdown.
Yeah.
But it's really matured him, you know.
Oh, bless him.
It would be nice to maybe do something like that and put the date on it. And yes, put it in one of those glass boxes with you know, the year and whatever. So he's got a memory of what his contribution.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fabulous. I like that.
Yeah. Well, I thought the syringe is, I mean, it's such an odd thing to do, but it's a symbol of hope, isn't it, in this time? It's the only thing that will make things better. So I don't think any of us really like needles, so it's quite nice to make something that's a bit friendlier. That was my aim. So you've done hopefully this at one end. Now I want you to go to the other end, the sort of shorter end, and then bring it to that midway line. Yeah, so I hope if you're finding this useful, I hope you feel that you've got ongoing support as I continue to add a fold every week. This week I've just added today a film showing how to fold some quite simple blossom, and you could add them to a branch as well. So again, a little lasting piece. Yeah, next week I think I'm going to do a traditional bird, a little Japanese bird, which is lovely. And actually that's inspired me to make stars as well. So I'll do a plumage star after that, one of my own pieces. Right. Happy? Great. So now go back to the other side, the longer side, and the same thing again. Take it from the outside into the middle. I know it's getting really thick now, but it has to be quite strong in order for it to stand up later on.
So is that where the fold is? So we're still going to, we haven't turned it open now, right?
No, still the same. Yeah, this is kind of working side. So we went from one end to the other end and then back to the original end, the midway line. And that's pretty much it then. Yeah, I know it's very thick, but as I said, it has to be a strong structure, really.
That's where my little tool's coming in handy.
Is it? It's helping.
Writers in my hands, so it's handy.
Oh.
We have to find things that allow us to access stuff, don't we? We have to find our own little props.
Absolutely. And you should be able to use even, as I said, something like a spoon handle or a butter knife or something like that. So you don't need special tools. And then you get familiar with it, and then it'll be like yours, little spoon that you use. Great. So as you've got it, so with this kind of working side, we're going to take the top and bring it up, bottom up to the top. So it's just basically halfway. So these points meet and fold at the bottom. At the bottom. And we're almost there. We'll have then done it all within an hour. That's brilliant. So happy?
Yes.
Great. So now folding it inwards so that this leaf is on the outside, and you may slightly relax it and slightly curl back the leaf. It's kind of nice to have a bit of a leaf. A little bit of sculpturing in there.
Could you just do that fold back again? So
it was like this.
Yeah.
Was like this. I folded it up.
Yeah.
And then I folded it in on itself so that the leaf's on the outside.
Yeah.
And you may slowly, gently curl down that leaf a bit. Looks cool. We're almost there. I reckon you'll probably be able to see how this works. You've got a nice little point there. And you've got the tulip with a hole, which we blew into. And you should be able to put one into the other. Again, rather clever. You may have to play around, so it's yay, Diana, that worked. Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Yay. Wow, some really colourful ones too, Sarah. That looks amazing. Ooh, excellent. Yeah. And if it hasn't all worked together at the same time, don't worry, you will be able to get there. You'll be able to look back at the video. You have folded most of it. Be persistent and kind. You will get there. And I know it's a challenge, but hopefully you will you'll get there. I hope you can most of all just enjoy the process. It is about giving yourself that time and care. I hope it's encouraged you to take some time out, and oh, brilliant. I hope it can be something that you can turn to. As I said, it's like a rabbit warren. Once you get into it, blimey, the possibilities are endless and rather exciting. So I hope you've had a little feel for how it can help and focus the mind. And I guess we hopefully haven't thought about other things, and maybe that's a help. I hope.
Well, I'm just going to say that I did, in order to sort of test this out, is I really needed to take some paracetamol before. So I thought, no, I won't. What I'll do is I'll come and do this instead. And I won't need to take any paracetamol.
Wow.
I know it sounds weird, isn't it? It's just that instead of focusing on it, what I've done is I've taken that emphasis onto something else, which means I'm now managing what I didn't think I could manage.
Oh,
So
that's
thank you
and
very
you
much.
received something amazing. That's amazing to hear. Wow.
Thank you. That is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
So that's going to be my new medication.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's what it's all about, I think, is distraction and yeah, doing these lovely crafts. I think
Yeah.
it's just lovely, just perfect. Thank you so much, Lizzie.
You're so
Yeah.
welcome. I think something very sort of controlled and very beautiful. It's almost the opposite to how we feel when things are not under our control. We're making something very controlled. It's very beautiful.
Yes.
That kind of calms the mind and restores that you are able to do things and you can overcome challenge as well.
Yeah, and
Just
it gives
takes
you
time.
that personal wow, doesn't it? And you just think, oh, I did that.
Yeah. Oh, well.
And I think also, as I say, you know, you were saying that you had learned from a lady who wanted to pass it on.
Mm.
I think that that's what we're going to be able to do now, even if it's just by putting a little heart on a card, or, you know, making, as I said to you, you know, I'm going to definitely do some origami flowers for my daughter's wedding, and that's passing it on, isn't it? You know, and people will be able to take something away as a gift. But for me, I can see me sitting while the football's on and my partner's in it, you know, doing something like this and actually taking myself out of myself, which is what you were saying, wasn't it, Louise, is that what we need is to find things that allow us to focus on something other than the persistent pain or the chronic pain that we're totally sometimes overwhelmed with. She's not there, I don't think. She?
Yeah. And hopefully it's full of meaning, isn't it? Things that you can see have meaning to you and that will have meaning to others, and passing on some joy, what you can do.
Lizzie, this has been absolutely fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely amazing. I would never have thought I could do that with my
a wonderful experience. Thank you very much. And I'm practicing on it because I've never done it before.
You will. I've taken you to quite an ambitious.
Very much. It's an eye-opener, what you could do with papers, simple things, which we sort of disregard, and which is quite a lot. Because in the process of doing it, you lose yourself into it.